Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine on the Navy Sports Network. Mid's getting set for Army and men's lacrosse coming up this week. Pleased to be joined now by Navy's Tim Griffin. And Tim, I imagine the marquee is about the biggest selling point this week. Coach only has to say Army's here coming up on Saturday. How do you keep the emotions kind of level and try to peak on Saturday at the right time, especially coming off of such an emotional victory on Saturday against a really good Loyola team?
It's a great question. It's actually funny because Coach Ampo touched on that yesterday in practice. He told us that the team that handles the emotion best is probably going to be the team that comes out with the victory on Saturday. And I think it's just taking past history from like the upper class, knowing what an Army-Navy game feels like, suppressing those emotions a little bit and trying to stay level-headed. And I think with our upper class leadership, we'll be able to do that pretty well.
I was going to say, with all that you all have been through this season, I imagine sending those seniors out against Army as a group, as a whole, to go out that way has to be one of the important things for you and the rest of that senior class to try and go out a winner against your arch rival, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we last time we played them was at home. It was the 100th meeting, and we lost kind of in a heartbreaking fashion in overtime when they scored that goal. I think it was 9-8 to finish, and that was a tough taste in all our mouths. And I know we wanted to get some revenge last year, and because of COVID, we weren't able to do so. So one last shot at them is going to be huge for us.
For you all as a group, there's a larger meaning here for you guys, and because that senior class last year didn't really get to finish that job, you all have been very instrumental in helping Coach Amplo kind of try to get his program established here at one of the great programs in the country. To get that type of win last week to try and solidify, that first big marquee win for Coach during his tenure. What did that mean for you all as a group? Because you've obviously played here now 4 years. You know what kind of an opponent Loyola has been like. Just how big was that last week for the program?
It was huge. It really was. Coach Ampo talks a ton about how hard we work and how we need to kind of give ourselves validation because we deserve it. And I think last week was so big because sometimes it's frustrating when you're putting in a ton of work and you can see all the improvement, but maybe you don't get the result you want, like the first time we played Loyola or Lehigh previous week. But everything kind of came to fruition, and we kept plugging along, kept believing in ourselves, and Coach Ampo kept putting a punch of belief in us. And it came together on Saturday, and it was really big, huge for our confidence and huge going into Army Week for sure.
For the role that you play on this team and the group that you play with, I imagine seeing Mr. Durden pick up the goal the way he did, and obviously having it mean so much to see a long pole go down there and get that goal. What was that like? Because you all in that defensive midfield group as a whole are kind of the unsung heroes in lacrosse. I don't think a kid grows up when he first picks up the stick, I'm going to be a guy on the rope line, I'm going to be a star on the rope line. But to see him get that kind of a goal and make it such a big contribution, is that part of that validation that you're talking about of all the work that you guys put in? Because most oftentimes you're on the field, it's either, for him, it's either off of a face-off off the wing, or many times you're matched up against some of the best athletes we've ever seen in the history of this game right now. And it's hard to kind of validate the work that you all put in. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, with that goal with Jeff putting us up 1, I mean, that's just a senior making a really good play in a big moment. And I mean, if you've seen Jeff play, and I know you have, but for anyone else, he's one of the biggest offensive threats on our team. I mean, he comes down the field and he has a knack for the goal, and he knows how to put it in the back of the net. So he's dangerous coming down. And I think all of us knew when he picked that ball up and started heading towards the goal, good things were going to happen. And that definitely proved some validation for us, and it's going to help moving forward.
How does a guy, and how would you talk to younger players who, they may not necessarily have a chance to play on that first midfield when they arrive at their respective school, but one of the ways to get on the field is maybe to go be a great defensive midfielder and help your team. How does a guy come to grips with the opportunity to play that role and then obviously excel in it the way you have for multiple years here now at the academy?
Yeah, I know. I mean, maybe you don't get all the glory scoring goals, but it's a really fun position, and you get to play a lot, and you get to, like you said, play against some of the best offensive middies in the country and do a pretty gritty job, which is really fun. And you get to push transition, you get to play some offense, and what I would say is the better your stick skills, the better D midi you're going to be because you're going to be able to push that transition. You're going to have a little bit more offensive prowess, and although it's not the position maybe that gets all the glory, it's really fun, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I was going to say right now, though, with the way the game is being played, and let's face it, this game is being played a lot faster. Transition is being emphasized maybe more than ever before, though. Is that yet, like you mentioned, transition goals are probably some of the most fun things we see in this sport. Being able to tell kids that, hey, you may not end up being a 30 or 40 goal scorer, but you can still be a big goal scorer for your team playing this role. Is that something that you'd kind of emphasize to younger players who may want to accept that role?
Yeah, I mean, our coaching staff, Coach Ross, they emphasize the importance of transition goals. I mean, I think they're one of the most important aspects of the game because that's where you get a lot of your momentum. When a defensive player can make an offensive play, it's a lot of emotion and it shifts the team's energy. So I think they're really important. And I think we saw that on Saturday, getting a lot of defensive goals that really helped push us towards the edge of victory.
I was going to say, you're a guy that gets isolated on an island a lot, almost like a cornerback in football. What are the keys to defending Dodgers, especially when you get, in a one-on-one situation? As we said, I mean, you're playing against some of the best we've ever seen in the history of this game now in this sport here in 2021.
Yeah. Knowing personnel is huge, knowing what their tendencies are, studying film before the games, being patient on ball, not trying to get overexcited and make a play, but just letting the play come to you. And then I think a big part of it is just confidence and knowing that the guys behind you are going to have your back if you do get beat. And for me, I know I've had tremendous confidence in all the guys behind me, from Nick down to Jackson Bonnets, freshman to senior. We have a really good group down there, and Spencer and Cage, so it's easy to play with confidence and know everyone's got your back if you do get beat. But yeah, definitely knowing tendencies and just knowing what the best way to defend a single guy is huge.
You had a chance to play in the WCAC, that big sprawling campus at Good Counsel off of Route 108. A lot of us remember when it was just the one building down there off of Georgia Avenue. You could have gone any number of places at the Division I level to play. Why Navy?
Well, growing up in such close proximity to the Naval Academy, I had the pleasure of knowing a decent amount of people who came to the academy, and actually my head coach in high school, Matt Dirk, and his brothers attended the Naval Academy. So I was lucky enough to get to know them. And they just were such upstanding guys that it was so attractive to me to come here. And I'll never forget the first time I came and watched a Navy lacrosse game. It was Navy Loyola, and as soon as I saw them run that flag out, I was bought in. And I've never seen a team fight harder than in that game. It ended up being a 1-goal game, and they lost by 1. But I just was so inspired by the energy and then the devotion and the fun, and it was incredible to watch. And I was hooked from that moment on. And I had to make it my mission to get here any way I could.
As you talk to certainly the plebes and the sophomores, because they've not experienced this yet, what do you tell them about this week, how to handle your business in practice this week? And then obviously on Saturday, when you all run out of that tunnel, there's going to be an incredible amount of emotion. The goosebumps are going to be as big as lacrosse balls. How do you help them handle what this week all entails?
Yeah, like you said, it's a weird scenario this year because about 50% of our team have never experienced an Army Navy game, which is unlike any other year. I think just playing with a lot of emotion this week to kind of try to replicate the feeling that we're going to have on Saturday is going to be huge. Trying to stay level-headed in that emotion. But I think it's going to come down to on Saturday, Coach Ampo said the first 5 minutes are going to be crazy because it's going to be all emotion. The ball is going to be on the ground probably the entire time because people are just going to be going after each other. But the first team that can really settle in, suppress that emotion a little bit, will be the team that will come out on top. And I think our freshmen have done a really good job, and our sophomores have done a really good job of buying in with everything that we're trying to do. And I know that they'll be able to handle it. So it'll go well.
Tim, appreciate the time this morning. We look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday. Best of luck against the Black Knights.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pete.